Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start our program today, and we're very, very pleased to have with us one of the top national anthem players in the country, Johnny Holiday, who's really presented and played the national anthem in many major events, but he's also a veteran right here, serving here in the Minneapolis area. So without further ado, Johnny Holiday with the national anthem.
At this time, we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. If you please remain standing, we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Nice, man. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Johnny, it sounds great. And you know, Johnny has his own act and his one-man show. It's fantastic. Well, what a wonderful day. How about Hispanic Heritage Month, everybody? Rick Aguilar here, welcoming you all. You know, there's a confusion about what countries make up the Hispanic world. I mean, people think, well, let me see, there's Mexico, and then did I mention Mexico? Yeah, you mentioned. And then there's Costa Rica, and then, yeah, but people don't really know. So we put together a wonderful piece. Now, when you see your country up here identified, give it a holler. But here's our version of the Latinization of America. Go, Rico.
Niña de mi cuento, ven y di que te vas, aunque ya no estés aquí, aunque sea de lejos. Niña, niña del misterio, sal de mí, borra el tiempo que está quieto en la pared, como una sombra más. Imagínate que me voy muriendo. Imagínate, ya no estoy y te quiero. Imagínate que me voy muriendo. Imagínate, ya no estoy y te quiero. de mis sueños. Yo te vi sobre el mar, blanca y desnuda, sobre mí tú vas, sobre ti yo vuelvo. Niña, 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 niña de mi sexo, sé que vas a jugar con mis dos manos, sé que no dirás eso que yo quiero. Imagínate que me voy muriendo, imagínate que ya no estoy y te quiero. Imagínate que me voy muriendo, imagínate que ya no estoy y te quiero.
Well, thank you. That was a nice piece put together of an associate of mine, Mike McLaughlin. Well, you guy loves the Latino heritage and he loves the faces of Latinos, so he helped us put that together. Very nice job. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to take a brief time to recognize my sponsors for this evening. And they're more than sponsors. You know, they want to form relationships with our community. And they also want to look into some of the issues that we have and help us with that. One of them has Comcast. Stacy, welcome, Stacy, and her crew from Comcast. Yeah. And they have a wonderful program, Internet Essentials, that's having online for a lot of people that really can't afford it. And it's a great program. Glad to be associated with it, Stacy, and welcome to you. A longtime friend of ours, we're going on 20 years. One of my sponsors is U.S. Bank. Jose Martinez in U.S. Bank. Yeah, Jose. He's here with his family. What a great partner. You know, they're very, very much concerned about making sure things are right and doing good business with us. So thanks, Jose. Another one that we really have formed a relationship. We're proud to say we help them put together their marketing department, their multicultural marketing department, through our relationships with Miguel Ramos. The Minnesota Twins, baby. They're winning now. Come on now. A little bit of, you know. And I understand, I understand they have a couple Latino players. I don't know. Right? Yeah, amazing. When you think of baseball, let's think about the amazing rise of Latino players. It is something else, and it's great to see, and great to have the Twins winning. Miguel couldn't be with us. He's standing by, and it's playoff time, so we love the Twins, though, ladies and gentlemen. And another sponsor of ours, and a new sponsor today, Minnesota Timberwolves, right? Yeah. Yeah, they're here today, and we have some exciting news about some of the things that are happening there, some great things. So we're going to start our program now, and I want to bring up the first award recipient. And am I getting you some feedback, Enrico? Am I too close here or something? Okay. Hey, how about this place, man? It's a lot of echo, but isn't it beautiful? The Landmark Center. We love it. Danny Vargas. We're honoring Danny Vargas, who's the chairman of the Friends of the National Museum of the American Latino. It's a long title, but it's about a dream of having our national museum in Washington, D.C. The bipartisan effort to create the National Museum of the American Latino Commission began in 2003 during Hispanic Heritage Month, and the commission bill was signed into law by President Bush in 2008. 1 year later, the 23-member bipartisan commission was appointed. Danny Vargas was one of those commissioners that began its task of creating the study and plan of action for the establishment and maintenance of a museum focused on American Latino art, history, and culture in Washington, D.C. Today, Chairman Dan Vargas leads this effort. Danny is the business and community leader and founder and president of Arcom Solutions, an award-winning, nationally recognized marketing, public relations, and professional service firm. A proven executive, he's held key roles at AOL, French Telecom, Raytheon, as a United States Air Force intelligence veteran. He served as the chairman of the Dulles Regional Chamber of Commerce, the first Latino to serve in that position. He was recently appointed to the Virginia State Advisory Committee and to the U.S. Commission of Civil Rights, and has served on numerous boards and commissions over the years. Danny is a regular media commentator, appearing on Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, and many other news programs. We are proud to present our La Familia Latino Award to Danny Vargas. In recognition of your outstanding leadership as chairman of the Friends of the National Museum of the American Latino, a nonprofit organization whose goal is to create a museum in our nation's capital to educate, inspire, and encourage respect and understanding of the richness and diversity of the American Latino experience within the United States. Also for your decades of entrepreneurial success and your public service on the local, state, and national levels, and your commitment to your heritage, culture, and country. Therefore, with the appreciation and respect of the Minnesota Latino community, this commendation is presented to Danny Vargas.
Awesome. Thank you. You know, before I say my remarks, I'd like to tell you a little story. Is that okay? So I love St. Paul. It's a beautiful place, wonderful city with wonderful people. But the first time I came to St. Paul was actually in 2008. I was invited to speak at the RNC convention right here at the Excel Center. And in spite of it being a wonderful place with wonderful people, there was a lot of turmoil during that time. There were a lot of protesters, and it's their First Amendment right, God bless them, but some of them got violent. And some of them were throwing rocks and bottles, and there were storefront windows that were being broken. So in spite of the fact that I'm a kid from Brooklyn, and in spite of the fact that I served in the military overseas and so forth, this is a pretty intimidating time to be here. But there was one voice, there was one person that would tell me, Dan, it's okay, we got you. It's gonna be all right. That person was someone who was widely respected on both sides of the aisle, someone who was well known both in the local community as well as nationally, someone like me who was the first Latino to chair a mainstream chamber of commerce in their home state, and that person was Rick Aguilar. So he's been my friend ever since, and I've come to rely on his wisdom and his advice over the years. So I want to thank Rick for having me. And while I frankly don't feel that I deserve this award, because I'm a street kid from Brooklyn, grew up in a broken home and on welfare in the bad old days of Brooklyn. But I've tried to make a difference, I've tried to have a positive impact. So I'll accept this award on behalf of the people that I've tried to help over the years and on behalf of the community that I've tried to represent with humility and with dignity, a community that has contributed to this nation for over 500 years, long before there was a United States of America. You can applaud that. In fact, I would argue that this country would be unrecognizable today were it not for those 500 years of Latino contributions. Imagine, I want you to picture with me, imagine, if you will, close your eyes and imagine a United States of America without roughly the lower half of the country and most of the West. We don't have to, because for over 500 years, Latinos have been settling and founding communities throughout this country. In fact, we're told at elementary school that the American story begins when the British get to Jamestown, Virginia in 1607. Unfortunately, I think that's inaccurate. I think the American story, as far as I'm concerned, begins on Columbus's second voyage in 1493, when he arrives on the shores of what is now U.S. territory in Puerto Rico. So the American story doesn't go from Jamestown, Virginia to the north and to the south. It goes from the Caribbean up into Florida and on to Mississippi and Alabama and Texas and California, as far north as Wyoming. In fact, I tell my friends from Alabama, I said, you know, basically a bunch of Latinos several generations removed. So by the time the British get to Jamestown in 1607, there are already a bunch of Latinos saying, bienvenidos, what took you so long? So imagine a Revolutionary War where General Washington loses the War of Independence. Well, we don't have to, because General Bernardo de Galvez, Spanish general and governor of Cuba and the Louisiana territories, along with the over 11,000 Spanish troops, helped stem the advance of the British forces from the south, allowing General Washington to win the Revolutionary War. Imagine, you can applaud that, absolutely. Imagine the United States Navy, where its first admiral during the Civil War did not utter those immortal words, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. You don't have to, because the first admiral of the United States Navy was David Farragut, or more accurately pronounced, David Farragut, whose father was a Spanish soldier who fought for the United States American Revolutionary War. Imagine World War II without the 500,000 Latino troops contributing and making an incredible difference in every theater of that war. Imagine the Korean conflict without the exploits of the U.S. Army's 65th Infantry Regiment, the Borinqueneers of Puerto Rico, one of the most highly decorated combat units in U.S. Army history, setting the example, the gold standard for the bravery of a combat unit. Imagine the United States military today without the contributions and the sacrifices of young Latinas and Latinos serving for us in Afghanistan and Iraq, or the 60 Hispanic Medal of Honor recipients, my friends. As an Air Force veteran myself, I'm here to tell you, Latinos take a backseat to no one in the defense of liberty. Imagine a sitcom on television where there's only maybe 1 or 2 cameras. Well, you don't have to, because Desi Arnaz, with the I Love Lucy television show, came up with the idea of 3 cameras and a live studio audience. Imagine Major League Baseball, America's pastime, without the strong cadre of Latino players on virtually every team that one of my personal heroes, Roberto Clemente, helped to usher in. Number 21, and we really want to get that number retired, don't we? And he stood up proud and strong in spite of the issues that he was facing, because he was not only Latino, but he was also black, and that discrimination that he had to face. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, the lack of Latino workers in our farms and in our factories, in our hotels and in our hospitals, in our restaurants and in our research laboratories, in our sanitation departments, and in our Supreme Court of the United States, or in our music studios or in our movie sets. We don't have to, because for over 500 years we've been relying on Latinos to fight our wars and to run our businesses, to tend our fields and to mend our wounds, to teach our kids, patrol our streets, write our laws, and to share the word of God. My friends, contrary to what some might have you believe, Latinos are not a recent patch being sewn onto the tapestry of America. We are an essential foundational thread woven into the very fabric of America. It is for that reason, these 500 years worth of stories that are missing from our museums and missing from the pages of our history books, that we need a National American Latino Museum on the National Mall to be able to recognize and acknowledge and remember those contributions. But that's not all. We also need to educate and enlighten the American public today about our contributions and the complexity of our community. We know the numbers. We're 18% of the population, we're 60 million people, we're $2 trillion in purchasing power. We are Afro-Latinos, we are Asian Latinos, we are blonde-haired and blue-eyed, and we are mulattos and mestizos and everything in between. You know, I did Ancestry DNA recently. It turns out that I'm a genetic sancocho. I am 50% Iberian, I'm African, I'm Native American, I'm Western European, but you know, that's us. That's our community. We're Republicans and we're Democrats, we're independents. We're not a race, we're a culture. We're a culture with some very foundational, basic values and principles around family and faith and freedom and opportunity and optimism and pride and passion, and those are the qualities our country needs more today. And lastly, we also have a responsibility to inspire future generations. The U.S. Census Bureau tells us that by the year 2060, Latinos will make up 30% of the population. 30% of the population. So if we hope to remain a strong and thriving and vibrant nation, that segment of the population needs to feel acknowledged, engaged, and invested in our future. That's why we are working hard to make sure that this museum can happen. We have a bill on the floor of Congress right now. We've gotten more, this is our fourth time introducing the bill, but we've gotten more co-sponsors for this version of the bill than we have in previous versions combined. We're going to make this bill pass in this Congress. We'll have hearings in the National Resources Committee, and you'll see it on television, and you'll see the great celebration of the contributions of our community across the nation. But we need your help. You can help in 3 basic ways. You can grab your cell phones, and if you have a member of Congress that you know, you can call or write them and tell them to support the bill in Congress, to authorize the Smithsonian to move forward with this museum. The second thing you can do is go on social media. Let people know that you support this effort. Share the word. Let your family, friends, colleagues, and coworkers know that this is important to you. And lastly, you can donate to our cause so we can continue our efforts to educate the public and educate members of Congress. The text to donate information will be on the screen if you want to see it. But the final thing I want to share with you is the reason that I've been involved in this effort for so long, for the last 12 years, is that it's a personal labor of love. It's a passion project for me because I have a vision of a little Latina that's born right here in St. Paul today, and on her 6th grade field trip to Washington, D.C., she can go to the nation's capital and she can marvel at the monuments, and she can visit Capitol Hill, and she can go to the museums, including the American Latino Museum, and see all of these stories that we've been talking about. And she will leave that museum proud, not only to be a Latina, but proud to be an American. Thank you all so very much, and God bless you.
Well, thank you, Danny. And you know, we've hosted, I think about 4 or 5 events here, Dan, over the years. And some of you in the audience have been to our programs. And you know, I'm a firm believer that with Danny's energy, the things that are happening around the country, the Latino growth, the $1.3 trillion of buying power, that all sounds right. But you know, nothing happens by accident. We've got to get united more, Dan. You know our people. You know, they like their museum in San Francisco, but you know, we've got to. So it's going to happen with your help. Hey, our next presentation is, I think it's a special one for me. It's about my brother, and Dan's going to help me with it because you know, being from Washington, Dan has a special inside vision of all the Latinos that fought in World War II. World War II, so long ago. But I want you to think about something. Your 17-year-old son or your daughter is going off to war. And there was a chance in World War II you'd never see your son or daughter alive again. Think about it. It's heartbreaking. That's what this country sacrificed in World War II. 17-year-old sons and daughters going to fight. And we had to win, didn't we? History doesn't tell us what would have happened if we lost. That was America. That was the great generation. Next slide. Here's Rudy at age 17. They had just arrived from Mexico. They came in 1939, ended up in Blue Earth, Minnesota, working on a farm. A farmer befriended my family, my mother and father and 5 siblings. Rudy and my brother Arturo, when the war started, they volunteered to go and serve. They could barely speak English, didn't have any proof of citizenship. 17. Rudy ended up fighting one of the fiercest and most decisive battles of the war, the Battle of the Bulge. In the dead of winter, the Germans attacked us. It was a counterattack, caught everybody by surprise, and it turned out to be, if they would have won that battle, it could have turned the tide in Europe. Look at those scenes. 17-year-old Rudy Aguilar was wounded. His 2 fingers were shot off, and he was shot in the leg, and the leg was hanging by a thread. Thanks to God, the medics found him and were able to take him off to a hospital. He spent a year-long recovery. He returned to Minnesota to begin his life, marrying Rosemary Soto, raising a family, and beginning a career-long employment at 3M. But today, here he is at 96. His pride and joy, his garden. Loves his garden. Yeah. And, you know, our family hangs around. That's our weekends there. We hang around, you know, we get together, not every weekend, but we're together a lot. And, you know, Rudy has a special name for it, barbecue. It's kind of like a southern drawl thing. I don't know where he gets it. He's a very funny guy, by the way. He calls it the fire. So he'll call you and say, "You coming to the fire?" Okay? You know, of course. And, you know, he's a beautiful guy. And so Rudy, you know, sacrificed for his country, and he's back enjoying life. Recently, he was asked by this beautiful nonprofit organization. They're the Honor Flight organization. Rudy was fortunate enough to go on a 1-day flight to Washington, D.C. with other World War II veterans. And they went and visited all the monuments. There he is, Iwo Jima. He even was able to meet the great Bob Dole. This Bob Dole, great guy. You know, I was working with the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for many, many years. It was a great opportunity for me traveling the world. And I met Bob and Elizabeth Dole and did some relationships and business with them. What a great couple. What a great America. Let's have a hand for Bob Dole. And here's Rudy. He was full. He had a beautiful lunch. He was happy. You know, he's going back to his garden, and life is good. So, I think that Danny asked me a favor. He said, "You know, Rick, I want to say something about Rudy myself in context of what that museum means," and I think that's good, Danny. So why don't you come back up here and just let us hear a little bit of that.
So I was going to make some remarks, but as a veteran myself, Rudy, I can't tell you how honored we are to be able to recognize your contributions and so forth. So it's not just you, it's your entire family that has contributed so greatly to this state and to this country. And Rick, I was able to find, I don't know if I told you, but I did a little bit of research. And this might come as a surprise, but I was able to find that I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the year, but it would have been, here it is, in 2004. Governor Tim Pawlenty was hosting the President of Mexico, Vicente Fox, and he made some remarks. I'd like to share those with you. Governor Tim Pawlenty said, "The proud story of Pedro and Lugara Aguilar reflects the motives and the values of Mexicans coming to America and Minnesota. They were among the thousands who left their homes and all they had and all they held dear for the promise of a brighter future, 2,000 miles and another world away. In 1939, the Aguilars arrived in Blue Earth, Minnesota, bringing with them few possessions, but the very best tools for building any future: strong character, a strong family, a strong work ethic, a mighty will to succeed. So strong was their love of their newly adopted country that brothers Rudy and Art volunteered to fight during World War II. Though they spoke little English and could offer no proof of citizenship, Rudy was wounded during the Battle of the Bulge and received the Purple Heart. Art served in the Pacific. Later generations of Aguilars would defend the nation. Louis Aguilar served in the Korean War, and Rick Aguilar served in Vietnam. We gave them opportunity, and they gave America service and sacrifice. It personifies the best of America's friendship with Mexico. They are remarkable people, to be sure, but they're not unique. Thousands of Minnesotans and of Mexican heritage have made and continue to make similar sacrifices and similar contributions to our nation and state. From our biggest cities to our smallest towns, spread the map of Minnesota and you will find communities all over the state that have significant and growing numbers of people of Mexican heritage. Not only are they adding a new cultural facet to their communities, Mexicans and Mexican Americans are contributing to our economic strength. Clearly, Mexico has come to Minnesota. Those were the words of Governor Tim Pawlenty in 2004. I think they personify the sentiments that we have towards not only the Aguilar family, but all Latinos that have made America the home and making America a better, more prosperous place. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Rudy Aguilar to the stage.
In recognition of your service and sacrifice to America while serving in World War II and receiving the Purple Heart in the Battle of the Bulge, also for being a proud citizen of Minnesota, raising a wonderful family, and your career employment at 3M, and to the love of your heritage and culture. Therefore, with the appreciation and respect of the Minnesota Latino community, this commendation is presented to Rudy Aguilar. You want to say
First of all, thanks for the award. Yeah. Secondly, I'd like to say thanks for honoring one of the hundreds of thousands of they get their service to this country. And I'm proud to be one of them. And I thank everybody for coming. God bless America. Oh, made it. Oh, I made it.
Hey, Rudy, all right. Well, needless to say, right? I'm looking forward to the fire when next year around. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to turn to our next recipient, and it's your friends and ours, Frank White. How about a hand for Frank White? Yeah. You know, I've got to really admit, you know, I've both Frank and I have been around, but I've never really got to know Frank White. I saw him play basketball. You know, he's a hell of a basketball player. And we played a little ball, but I really didn't get to know him. But somebody suggested on our selection committee that, how about Frank White? You know, Frank's been doing some amazing things. And, you know, we did a review about Frank's past and what he's been involved with, and I said, oh, sure, this is right there, doing all the things that we need to be done in our community. So Frank White's an author, an award-winning promoter of the benefits of sports and recreation. Frank grew up in St. Paul. He played high school basketball and baseball at Mechanic Arts High School. Wow. Yeah, how about a hand for Mechanic Arts, right? His father, Lewis White, was a local baseball player who played in the era of major Negro leagues. And his mother, Fidela Rangel, was a member of the West Side's Rangel family. Frank's love of sports led him to a lifelong career that included officiating in various sports and serving on many boards and associations involved with athletic services. Frank has received many awards over the years for his service in supporting sports and recreation. But there was another issue in sports that Frank became involved with and gained a reputation as an expert, and that is the incidence and the impact of violence in youth sports. Currently, Frank is working with the Minnesota Twins as the coordinator of the RBI. Hey, Frank, you're being honored with the La Familia Latino Heritage Award for your outstanding service and promotion of the benefits of sports and recreation. Tell us why it's been so important for you to devote your career and your life to this effort.
Thanks, Rick, and I'm honored to receive the recognition and the award. I think for me, growing up in a family where my father played sports, I always played sports. But as I got older and I realized that there was more to sports than just being out on the field playing ball or soccer or basketball, whatever. And so as I got into recreation and sports, I think that I saw many benefits that would help all of us, especially those of us that maybe didn't have a means to have club memberships at the Y or some of those private clubs. So for me, the recreation centers, the neighborhood house, El Rio Vista, Martin Luther King Center, those were all important, and trying to get people to understand how important to have recreation and leisure in your life and not always thinking about working. So I think there are a number of things over a period of time that were significant for me to try to get people to understand. And then in sports, you know, in coaching and working with young people and their families, I thought it was important not only for the aspect of playing the game, but also then learning through sports about life, just about everyday things. So
Yeah, I mean, the discipline part of it, the being on time part, you know, the relationships you build, and of course the most important thing was the fact that you would learn how to win and lose in life. I think those are some of the things that I think you always talked about to the kids.
I think people don't realize how important being on time is, Rick. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because, you know, you later on in life you end up going to a job, and it's important to be on time. If you can't be on time, you're not going to be able to work, and if you can't work, you know, there's no money. So I think those are important things, and then in sports you learn not only winning but losing. So trying to figure out how to work through when you lose, and to be resilient and come back the next day or the next game, or even the next at bat, whatever it might be, the next time up and down the field. I can remember when I was a kid, I used to go watch they play soccer down on Harriet Island.
Sure.
Lalo Sanchez, right?
Correct.
So I would go, my dad, you know, we would go down, and so even there, you know, you go down the field one time, and if you don't score, you got to come back and play D, and you got to be a team.
Yeah, well, you later in life, though, Frank, you were actually leading some of the sports associations. You as a job, as a career.
Yes, yeah.
You went on to do that. Well, that was a good learning aspect for you. That then you were able to take it and make a career out of it.
I'm really fortunate. I'm one of those people, Rick, in life like you, that I was able to do something that I enjoyed every day, and was able to meet a lot of people, and in fact, for a short period, well, for about a I don't know, 9-10 year period of time, I actually got an opportunity to travel the country and Canada doing speaking engagements on sportsmanship, which is that other part of sports that, you know, trying to get people to understand to be civil while they're at ball games, and not yelling and going crazy and those kinds of things. So I really enjoyed that, got a chance to meet a lot of people, and I think I had an impact in that, because you know, your company, you do a lot of marketing. The only marketing I did is I showed up and I did my thing. And fortunately for me, people would come up and ask and say, hey, how about, can you come to Omaha, or can you come to Missouri, or whatever? And so I've been very fortunate to be able to do that kind of stuff. And I think people listened, although we still have some of those problems today. And
well, let me ask you this, Frank, because I think with your career you've had, the Minnesota Twins chose you for a pretty challenging job opportunity. They chose you to be coordinator for the Twins reviving baseball in the inner cities.
Right.
Because baseball, is, for better or worse, is taking kind of a turn. I don't know if as many kids are playing ball or know the history of baseball. Tell us a little bit about that program.
Well, the program started with Major League Baseball. The Twins picked it up somewhere in about '96. I didn't really get involved until I think it was about 2001. This is my 18th season.
Wow.
Involved in being the coordinator. And I think the good thing about reviving baseball in inner cities, it provides an opportunity, because the Twins give money to Minneapolis and St. Paul recreation departments to help defray costs, so that kids don't have to pay big fees. You know, in baseball right now, and some of the other sports, kids are paying big fees. Even some of the club sports, you know, parents are paying $3,000-$5,000 for kids to play a season, and that's a whole nother conversation. But you know, a lot of kids can't afford that type of thing. So thank goodness for the Twins in Minneapolis and St. Paul Park and Rec to have the program. And you know, it's all over Minneapolis and St. Paul. It's on the west side. You know, the Boosters play in it, and there are teams well, all over Minneapolis and St. Paul that participate in the program, and it's a great opportunity. And we travel sometime. We're getting ready to leave here in a few days to go to Indianapolis with 3 teams, and everything's paid for. The kids will get a uniform, so it's a great opportunity.
Well, that sounds like a great part of this award, Frank. Just what we talked about, your service to promoting sports and recreation to them. And we're looking forward to you receiving that award. That's going to be September 19th at the Langmar Center. Thanks, Frank.
All right, thanks, Rick. I really appreciate it, and I'm honored.
It's our pleasure. Thank you. Sports and recreation to them. And we're looking forward to you receiving that award. That's going to be September 19th at the Langmar Center. Thanks, Frank.
All right, thanks, Rick. I really appreciate it, and I'm honored.
It's our pleasure. Thank you. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, Frank White.
Hey,
Frank
you're
White.
being honored.
In recognition of your career-long devotion to promoting the benefits of sports and recreation and your outstanding career of officiating various sports, along with serving on the boards of many associations, also for your award-winning efforts to promote peace and reduce the incident and impact of violence in youth sports, and your commitment to your heritage and culture. Therefore, with the appreciation and respect of the Minnesota Latino community, this commendation is presented to Frank White, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Rick. Actually, I've known Rick for a little while. Some of you may not know about the J-Mars and Rick singing back in the day, and what a wonderful time that was. I want to share with you briefly, as you saw some of the stuff on the screen. As I was looking, I was like wondering, man, what happened to my hair? During my life, growing up with a father that was African American and a mother that was Mexican, it was somewhat challenging for me because every time I filled something out, you went to school and you had to fill out one of those boxes, I was always other. Okay, let me say that again. I would fill out the boxes, you know, and it's ask you who you are. Are you this? Are you this? And there was never anything for me other than other. So it was difficult. People would look at me, and maybe because of my size, maybe because of my color, a lot of people took me for being just African American. Or they knew my father, or I played sports, so they figured if I played basketball, I must be black, right? Because that's all we do. For me, I want to share tonight how important it is for me to share with you the pride that I have for my mom's family, the Rangels. I grew up, when I went in the service, I was in the Air Force, and 3 different bases in Texas, and everybody outside of the base, anytime I would go in town, people would always speak Spanish to me, and I would look at them and I would go, yo soy mexicano, pero no hablo español. ¿Entiendes poquito? And they look at me and they go, oh, qué lástima, or oh, lo siento, right? So I never knew what to do. I could always answer for the most part, but I couldn't say anything back to anybody in Spanish. I felt bad, and it really hurt. One time I called my Aunt Juanita one time and I said, Tia, I said, everybody down here is getting mad at me because when they talk to me, I say something back in English. And she said, oh, that's because they think you're sticking your nose in the air because you're being too good. It was challenging for me. But I have learned that my heritage, my culture, has been extremely important to me. My youngest daughter, Janae, is fluent in Spanish because I said, you're going to learn Spanish, because I didn't. Although I'm practicing, I'm still not very good. I want to share one quick story with you about my grandfather because I'm so proud. I've shared this with my family. Back in 2006, the Minnesota Twins, Dave St. Peter, the president of the club, said to me, Frank, we would like to, before we move into our new stadium, we would like to meet different parts of the community. Can you put me in touch with the African American community, the Latino community, the Native community, and maybe we'll even do the Somalian community, depends upon time. And I said, yeah, I can do that. But I said, I don't want to do that unless there's meaningful conversation. Because he was looking again to hire more people as they moved into the new Target Field Stadium. I agreed to do that. One of the days, I got a phone call from one of the staff, and they said, hey, Frank, we want you to come in. We've set up a meeting with somebody from Clues, the executive director of Clues. And his name was Jesse Bethke at the time. So I go into this conference room. Dave St. Peter is sitting at the head of this long conference table. The human resource person was across from me, along with Jesse, and I was sitting on the other side. And when he said his name, I said, oh, I think I know your mom. And she works because she helped me do the first Cinco de Mayo celebration in the city of Richfield when I worked in Richfield. And another gentleman named Pedro Rojas, who is back in Mexico now, also helped me. So I said, you know, your mom tells me that your grandfather knew my grandfather in Mexico. I didn't say a name yet. Jesse looked at Dave St. Peter and said, Mr. St. Peter, thank you for having me today, and I'm looking forward to our conversation. He then stood up and he reached across the table and extended his hand and said, Mr. St. Peter, I am honored to meet the grandson of Don Francisco Rangel. I walked in that day. So for me, I've shared that story with our family a couple different times. It just said to me again how influential our Rangel family is, whether it's my grandfather or it's my Dona Crescencia Rangel, or my tio, who is tonight also being honored, Kiko Rangel, or my aunts, the singers. There's so much richness in our family on both sides, but tonight it's really about the Latino side of my family. I'm extremely honored to be here. I said I was going to close in Spanish, but since Danny didn't speak in Spanish, I'm not going to either. So I am very honored. I love my family. I am honored. It is very meaningful for me that I am a part of the Rangel family. So thanks to all of my family here, the Rangels, my tias, Juanita and Rachel and Genevieve and my tio Kiko, and obviously my cousins. So.
Well, you're not the only one, Frank. You know, I'm not fluent. I guess, you know, if you look back at our neighborhood in the west side here, we grew up right across the river here. And when we arrived in Minnesota, our family moved to the west side. We were working, there was jobs at the stockyards, good jobs. We moved right into the heart of a Jewish community, the Jewish community, where all the Jews in Minnesota gathered. There was 5 synagogues in that small area. Wonderful people, just wonderful. And why do we connect with them? Well, the family values, the fact that they immigrated here and a lot of their hardships. We share a lot of wonderful things with them. But one of the things that about our community, we were assimilated. I mean, I love jazz. I was listening to John Coltrane. I didn't know about Los Mañanas and the trio Quesaneta, and I didn't know those guys. I was doing jazz and singing rock and doing some doo-wop, and then Kiko lived right across the way from us, and I could hear him playing and rehearsing us in the summer, and then we'd be doing our doo-wop, and I could hear Kiko. Yeah, it was wonderful nights, but we loved basketball is what I'm gonna get at. See, we didn't have soccer. We didn't know soccer. I think once a year the coach would throw a ball out there. We said, what's that for? He said, you gotta kick it, man. Okay. We kicked it around, then we never saw it again. That was good, because, yeah, we weren't soccer people. We were basketball. Frank White, he was a terror. He was a big forward, man. Tough. Yeah, I had to call some fouls on Frank. Now, I played a lot of ball. I played ball right over here, right downtown at Assumption Grade School. Yeah, we shipped over, my dad shipped us over to Catholic school, there we were. And we had a great guy, Mike Scott, who was a wonderful guy, former college basketball player, wanted to volunteer sometime. He got about 8 of us little Mexican guys out there, and we were all about my height. I think a little guy was taller than me, he was the center. And so we were small, but man, what a great opportunity. And we drove all over town. We love basketball, Latinos. And I know, right, Frank? That was our game, right? And we loved it, yeah. So the reason I'm talking about it, because we're part of sports history tonight, folks. We really are. And, you know, there's a lot of, Danny Vargas mentioned, a lot of the first Latino too. You know, there's a lot of first Latinos too. And that's important. But, you know, when you hear that, you never stop to think, how did it happen? I mean, the first Latino too doesn't happen by accident, folks. You know, because we work, you know, Latinos, we want to earn it. You know, there's a lot of talk out here in cyberspace about what we're going to give you. We want to earn it, don't we? We want to earn it. You don't have to give it to us. We want to work for it. And when we work for it and we get it, man, there's nothing better in life, is there? And that's why tonight we're very honored to, well, first say thank you to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Thank you to that team that looked around and saw the talent that the Gerson Rosas has. And they named him president of basketball operations, the first Latino American to rise to that position in NBA history. How about that, folks? Gerson's family immigrated from Bogota, Colombia to Houston, Texas. His parents, Leonardo and Gloria, worked hard integrating a new culture and language into the family's new life in the United States, as well as stressing the importance that Gerson take advantage of this new opportunity. America is the land of opportunity, but only if you take advantage of it. His father told him, if you don't make the most of this, what was your purpose in coming here? Why did we leave home? You are the example for your brothers. This opportunity is too critical for you not to execute. After knowing at a young age that basketball was his calling, Gerson worked on a plan to execute his dream. When he met his now wife, Susanna, at age 15, he told her that one day he was going to be a leader of an NBA team. Before joining the Timberwolves, Gerson spent 17 seasons with the Houston Rockets, including the last 5 seasons as Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations. He has been an active participant in the NBA's Basketball Without Borders program since 2006 and currently serves as the Americans Camp Director. Most recently, Gerson was able to serve as a camp director at Medellin, Colombia. Gerson took every opportunity that came his way to build up his basketball resume, including working with the Venezuelan Basketball Federation and coaching at Westbury Christian High School in Houston. Gerson is passionate about leading by example, building a path for other Latinos to succeed in the NBA, and teaching his children, Grayson and Gianna, about their family's culture, its past, and where the future can take them. We have a video to show. Rico?
My journey to the U.S. Was a very interesting process. I was very fortunate. I have 2 parents that realized that in order for me and my 3 younger brothers to have our best life, it was going to take a change of life as they knew it. The sacrifices they made being professionals in Bogota, Colombia, and realizing that the opportunities that the U.S. had, not only for them, but for our future, both in terms of education and professionally, was something special that deserved their sacrifice. For me, that process was interesting. I came over at 3 years of age, and myself and my parents were experiencing a new culture, a new life, a new language together. And that's something that's incredibly important to me. My culture, my background, my family. You know, I'm blessed that my wife has the same beliefs and thoughts that I do. Our children speak Spanish at home, and that's our way to continue our culture and continue our traditions. And it's something that when I have this conversation with my children, it's something that I want to do in Spanish so they realize the impact of where we've been and where we're going. Being the first Latino president of a basketball operations organization in the NBA is both an honor and a privilege that I take very personal. It's very humbling to me because of what the NBA is as an international organization and its impact on the sport. It's not a title or responsibility that I take lightly, and being the first just lets me know that I have to help others because there can't be only one. You know, my vision, my focus for this organization is different than most organizations. We have a very diversified approach, and it's not just male or female or races, it's approaches. People from different backgrounds and different perspectives make up our organization, and to me that's very special. Just as, you know, somebody gave me an opportunity, somebody took a chance on me, now I'm able to do the same for others. Being honored with this award is something that incredibly impacts not only me, but my family, my wife and my 2 children who daily make sacrifices that allow me to live out my dream. You know, it's just an acknowledgement of the efforts that everyone here is committing to in order to make the Minnesota Timberwolves an organization that this city and this state can be proud of.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we want to introduce Gerson Rosas. In recognition of your outstanding efforts to attain the position of President of Basketball Operations for the Minnesota Timberwolves, becoming the first Latino American to run an NBA team. Also for your love of Latino heritage and culture, and for setting an example that hard work and setting goals is the way to achieve the American dream. Therefore, with the appreciation and respect of the Minnesota Latino community, this commendation is presented to Gerson Rosas, presented at the 17th Annual La Familia Latino Heritage Celebration.
Primeramente, muchas gracias por este honor tan especial que para mí es muy importante. Si no hablo en español, mis papás no me dejan regresar a mi casa. I'm very humbled. I'm not deserving to be a part of this group, especially the honorable men and women that are being honored tonight. But I'm very appreciative. Very humbly, I'll tell you, to be in a town where myself and my wife and my two children have been embraced by this community in such a rich and powerful way is very important to me. It lets me know that me and my family are where we belong, and this is home. And tonight is very important to me. Thank you. Tonight is very important to me on many levels. Number one, I'm representing my wife and my children, my parents and my brothers, but I'm also representing an organization that took a chance on a Latino to lead their basketball operations, and an owner in Glenn Taylor and Becky Taylor who believed in our vision and a different vision, a different perspective. A different way of doing things, a different approach. And I say that, and I don't take that honor or that responsibility lightly, because in this day and age, for such a time as this, it's a very critical time. What's the face of a Latino? What's the face of an immigrant in this country? What do we represent? This country has a lot to offer. This is a great country, but the greatness comes from the diversity, from the different people, from the different backgrounds, from the different visions and different experiences. And tonight is a celebration of that. So I appreciate this honor. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to my family and to the Timberwolves organization, but I haven't earned it yet. I commit to you all that I'm gonna earn this award. This particular community is very important to me, and I'm going to do everything within my power to support this community, to give others the same opportunities and experiences that I was given, because in this day and age, there shouldn't be as many firsts. There should be more, and I've been given the opportunity and the blessing to do what I do, and that comes with a responsibility to help others, and that's important to me. So with that, thank you very much.
All right. The Wolves will be hollering this year, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, who did that? I like that. That was good. Was that Chris? Hey, Chris, do that one more time, just for the... All right. I don't know if that's a wolf, but... Hey, well, listen, we're, as we celebrate that, we look at our next recipient, and it's Frank Ortiz, and Frank is a police officer with the St. Paul Police Department. And as I say that, I always think about, what America's about, and it's always been, when people come to our country, they're escaping from countries that outlaw and order, let's face it. I've traveled Latin America. I mean, there's a lack of law and order. We know that. We know Mexico and certain countries and the great people. Law and order. That's what this country's about. There's no disputing that. Anybody, who's going to dispute law and order? But our police officers right now, as far as I'm concerned, are in the most dangerous times that I've seen in this country. And if my brother and the people in the armed forces are brave, serving our country and defending our country, so are our police officers. I'm gonna have a hand for our police officers. Not yet, Frank. I got a little bit. I'm gonna do a little, I did some ID checking on you, okay? I had to check. No, and I mean that, folks, because, you know, we have our country is so wonderful and all, but I really believe that there's certain foundations that have to be defended. And Frank Ortiz was born in Mexico. He immigrated to the U.S. and arrived in St. Paul in 1991. And I think I checked you out there. I ran into El Burrito, I think. He moved to the West Side and was fortunate enough and through hard work, joined the St. Paul Police Department in the year 2000. Frank, though, importantly, is serving as president of the National Latino Peace Officers Association Minnesota chapter. The organization recently held their national conference right here in St. Paul a couple weeks ago. I was there, Frank, with a tremendous show, and it was tremendous to see the spirit of these Latino police officers and captains and lieutenants from all over the country. It was a great, great 3 days, and I want to congratulate you. But of course, you know, our chapter and our police departments here in St. Paul, they're involved in building strong relationships with the neighborhoods and creating trust with the younger citizens. Rico, here's some of the work that the Officers Association does. You know, working with the kids. Let's hold on that right there, Rick. Working with the kids. You know, there's a lot of broken families out there. I mean, you know, when a lot of us grew up, we had that strong family foundation. When not all these kids have that. You know, we need them to build relationships. Wonderful work. I was at some of those events, and I think that the work that our Latino peace officers do is very important. Wanting the community to have police that look like them. I mean, we keep on hearing that all the time, but yet, I think as Frank's going to explain to us, we don't have enough Latino police officers in St. Paul. Maybe you can talk about that, Frank, even nationally, as we give you a few minutes to talk about it. But so without further ado, I want to bring up my friend and a good friend of this community, Frank Ortiz. In recognition of your law enforcement work of keeping the peace and making the city safe for all communities, and your leadership in promoting the visions and goals of the National Latino Police Officers Association, Minnesota chapter. Also for your commitment to your heritage, culture, and community. Therefore, with the appreciation and respect of the Minnesota Latino community, this commendation is presented to Frank Ortiz.
Well, I don't really know what else to say. Thank you, Rick. Thank you for this recognition. And thank you for being a leader in our Latino community. A little bit about myself, as Rick explained it, I've been a police officer for 18 years. And at the moment that I moved to this country as an immigrant, the only place that I wanted to live, it was in St. Paul. So when somebody asked me, would you want to work as a police officer? I said, St. Paul Police Department. I don't want to go anywhere else. So I've been serving the citizens of this beautiful city for the last 18 years. And through my career, I had the opportunity also to join this great organization, Latino Peace Officers. I represent the local chapter, but we are all over the United States. We are the largest organization in the United States. This organization started in 1972 in California, and it still continues growing and expanding. As Rick mentioned, we need Latino officers, absolutely, no doubt about it. And as a matter of fact, out of 12,000 officers working here for the state of Minnesota, we only have 80 Latinos working here in Minnesota, serving a population of Latino community that's constantly growing. So 20 of those officers, you'll see them working for the St. Paul Police Department, the other 25 working in Minneapolis, and the rest of it, they're working all over the state. So if you know somebody, this is the opportunity. We're recruiting all the time. It's a great profession, but one of the best ways that you can get back to your community by being a police officer. So again, thank you, Rick. Thank you for this recommendation. And I'm not the only one that represents this organization. There's several of our members, community leaders, and the students. So on behalf of my Minnesota chapter and the Latino Police Officer Association, thank you for that recognition.
All right. Let's go and get a glass of wine. We'll take a 15-minute break. We've got some great entertainment, some great awards coming back here. So 15 minutes, and we'll come back with the rest of the show. Rico, give us some music. Our next recipient is School District 197. School District 197 that serves West St. Paul, Mendota Heights, and Eagan. How about 197? Yeah. And it's an important tribute because they did some important things. But you know, we love celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. It's great to celebrate, but it's also a time for us to look at the issues. Look at our issues. We're the largest minority in the country, and everyone in this room will be long gone. We're never going to look back. Latinos will be the largest minority in the country for another 100 years or more. It's there. It's their age. It's the families they're having. So here's the issue, and it is a critical issue. Education. Education. We're at a crisis level, ladies and gentlemen. We got 40% or 50% of our kids that graduate from high school. In the year 2020, you're not going to graduate from high school? What happened here? I remember as a kid, if I would have went home and told Pete Aguilar that I was going to quit school, after I got out of the hospital, I would have been back in class. Something's happening here because it's not just Minnesota. And by the way, I'm sorry to say, Minnesota has the worst achievement gap, the worst outcome for Latino students in the country. And that was admitted to by the leaders in Minnesota. By the leaders in Minnesota. This is beyond just something that's going to get a quick fix, because we could have a generation of Latinos, a generation where 30 or 40% can't read or write. Think about it. We're going to be the largest minority, and we're going to have all these kids that are educated. We're not contributing to our country. You know, this country, you contribute. You make it stronger so that your kids, when they come up, this country's stronger. We got to contribute, folks. Good news is there are some organizations that are looking how collaboration works with getting the job done. And that's why when we saw and heard about, and I live in West St. Paul, saw that what's happened in School District 197, we thought this is worthy of our attention and worthy of looking at how this worked. We've got a wonderful video we're going to show. Rico? Well, Peter, Carmen, and Rob, School District 197, which is made up of West St. Paul, Mendota Heights, and Eagan, is being honored with the La Familia Latino Heritage Award for an amazing Latino graduation rate in 2018. You know, Peter, you became district superintendent in 2017. Well, tell us a little bit about that amazing graduation rate and how proud of you are of all your staff and how this came about.
Well, absolutely. Well, first, Rick, thanks for honoring these staff. It's an incredible team. And the thing that I'm most proud of is the community in which we live. We have a Latino community that is invested in their kids, they're invested in the schools, they're invested in being part of their kids' lives in the schools. And I think that's a big part of our success,
Yes.
is how much they feel a part of what we do, and are eager to see like any parent, eager to see their children succeed, and really willing to do whatever it takes to be a part of their child's success. So it's really exciting. As for the graduation rate itself, well, yeah, we're almost at 94% graduation rate. Wow. for our Latino population, which is a good 30% above the state for the same population. Yeah. They're in the 60s at the state versus 90s for us. And overall, it's actually above our state average, our district average, which is about 93%, and our Hispanic population is pushing 94. So.
Wow, well, the term amazing is right on because, you know, as we all know here at the table that, you know, Minnesota has really gained a bad reputation nationally for having the worst outcomes for Latino graduates. And that's really amazing in the sense because Minnesota has always led the way. But well, thanks, Rob. And Rob, for you, you know, your work with the Latino youth group, Almas, you know, it's been an amazing group, and the goal's always been graduation. Well, what role did your group play in this graduation feat and accomplishment this year?
Well, I think it would really go down to the leaders of the group. Throughout the years since 2001, the Latino kids have developed an identity within the school, and slowly over time, including that class, they took the ownership of all of it, and they went to their friends, and they went with their families, and they wanted to graduate and show that they could do it.
Well, your group now, how many years have you led that Almas?
Since 2001.
2001. Well, I think you know what you were saying, Peter, about how you've gotten the help from the community. I think what Rob has done really has been a tremendous asset to the district.
Absolutely. I mean, Carmen's here as well. I think that the Almas group has been an incredible contribution. It's gotten the range of providing support for our families to learn to improve their English skills so that they can teach. That happens at Garland Elementary and other schools. So it's a big network of various programs. Almas is a big part of that, and a lot of the work that we're doing.
Well, Carmen, your role as a community liaison and interpreter with 197. Give us your perspective on this accomplishment, if you could.
You know, I think nobody has a formula or, you know, to know exactly how we came to this outcome, but I think the most important thing has been relationships. I feel so proud to be part of the District 197 because I feel we have a very healthy and welcoming and very respectful relationship with the families. It's not just about interpreting or providing translated documents, you know, all the programs that we have. It's that big relationship that we have had for so many years. We started a program in the district 20 years ago, an ECFE class for kids 0 to 5. And if we think about it, many of those students are graduating now. So we have had that relationship with those families for all of this year. We have had, you know, that that incredible relationship with the families, and I think that is the most important thing that we have.
Well, thanks, Carmen. You know, you've done great work. I think as we look at the coming years now, are we seeing an increase in Latino populations? Peter, how do you see that? Because I think most of, in your district, most of the Latino population is kind of centered in West St. Paul. Would I be correct saying that?
That's where our largest Latino
Right,
population is.
right.
We're very fortunate to have Latino populations throughout the 7 communities that we serve.
Oh, great.
Yes, our largest population is in West St. Paul, and they are our largest student of color, family of color group within the district. So, it's exciting. It's fun. I mean, Carmen talks about the ECFE programs. Rob's talked about Almas. I've had the privilege of going occasionally to a parent group called Padres en Acción, and they'll tell it like it is. They'll tell you the things that are working well. They'll tell you the things that aren't working well. But again, with those relationships that are built up, they want to be in the work with you. It's not a matter of go fix this. It's how do we work together to fix this together, and it's been incredibly welcoming and incredibly effective.
Well, we're really, go ahead, Carmen.
I think part of all of these things that we have, the classes that we provide in Spanish for Latino families, the Almas group, the Latino committee, all of these things, the families feel part of the solution, and I think that is very important.
Well, we're really pleased that you're going to be honored with the La Familia Latino Heritage Award. It's well deserved, and we're looking forward to that wonderful evening, September 19th at the Landmark Center. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. You know, like they say in education, 93.7, that's not bad, right? We're looking for good things from the district. I think that's a good prototype there. We need prototypes. We happen to have our Commissioner of Education. How about a hand agent for the state of Minnesota right here? Our Commissioner of Education. Yeah. So we need prototypes. We need something that we can grab and say, we can do this over here. We can do that there, because that's working, and our community's responding, Peter, as you see. So I'm going to have Peter come up, Carmen, Rob, they're here, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. They're here. Come on up, folks. Come on, Carmen. Love you out, Rob. Peter. I'm going to read your commendation here. In recognition of the outstanding accomplishment of graduating Latino students at a record level in the 2018 school year, and to your students, staff, community leaders, and teachers who together collaborated to achieve this outcome. Also for the commitment to providing our Latino students a challenging educational environment that instills a lifelong passion for learning, that empowers them to achieve their personal goals and academic potential, and prepares them to be responsible citizens in an interconnected world. Therefore, with the appreciation and respect of the Minnesota Latino community, this commendation is presented to School District 197. Peter's going to give us a few words.
Thank you, Rick. So, with the last name Olsen Skog, it's clear why I'm here at the Latino Familia. I'm half Swedish and half Norwegian, and really out of sorts here in Minnesota. Just kidding. I really appreciate the name of what this is, La Familia Latino Heritage Awards, because I really believe that that is the key to the success that's been achieved, not by me, but by our educators, by our students, by our families, and by everyone that's come together and keeps coming together in lots of different ways. Right here on the stage we have
support from birth to graduation and beyond. We've got students out there with us tonight. We've been hearing about first Latinos in this area, or all these accomplishments. Watch out. West St. Paul, Mendota Heights, and Eagan is coming. We've got a lot of Latino leaders coming your way, and we're going to be coming out in force, because we are a wonderful community with interconnected supports where our families, I said it in the video and I'll say it again here, they are not hesitant. And I'm proud that we are open to working together. They are not hesitant to tell us what we need to do and get better. And there's a lot that we still need to do to get better, to meet the needs of all of our populations, in particular our Latino populations. We're proud of this success. As I heard earlier, there's more that we need to do to earn this award. We need to continue to have this type of success with graduation, but we also need to continue to close our achievement gaps and make sure that all of our Latino population is experiencing the type of success that, and experiencing the type of support that they deserve from their education system. So I want to say thank you to Rick. I want to say thank you again to our students and our parents and our families and our staff that made this type of success possible. So thank you very much.
Congratulations, guys. Thank you. Yeah, well, that's my West St. Paul. Yeah, I'm really proud of them, and I've gone to some of their programs. Really good stuff. So, keep up the good work, folks. Now we're going to be looking at a well-known person that we have here this evening, Roma Kalataud Stocks. So of course, it's Roma, right? I'm so happy that we're kind of doing this period right now of our artists with Kiko and with our dancing, and Roma certainly plays a role in that, because Roma's an award-winning novelist and composer, and the author of 2 historical novels, A Song in My Heart and the recently released A Symphony of Rivals. She's currently working on the 3rd installment of the series, An Ode to Joy. Roma's books are the recipients of several book awards, including the International Latino Book Awards for both A Song in My Heart and A Symphony of Rivals, and the Midwest Book Awards and Mom's Choice Awards. Kalataud Stocks released 2 albums, A Song in My Heart, to accompany her debut novel, A Song in My Heart, and Carnival of Life. The albums showcase her original songs and instrumental compositions. Roma has 20 years collaborating with our organizations through the Friends of the Minnesota Orchestra. In 2002, she created and produced Latin Renaissance, a groundbreaking concert at Orchestra Hall, where she was a pioneer in bringing to Orchestra Hall in Minneapolis the diversity of Latin American music. Since then, Roma continues to participate through her artistic work with other art organizations, including the Latin Grammys, Intermedia Arts, while also highlighting Latin American art at the Walker Arts Center and Minneapolis Institute of Art. Roma was co-chair of the 2018 Latino Film Festival. What was the winner of the best movie? Roma, of course, right? Was it Roma? Were you the Roma? Okay. And she also served as board members for many nonprofits. Kalataud Stocks holds bachelor's and master's degrees in music and psychology from the University of Minnesota, and postgraduate studies in creative writing from the University of St. Thomas. I think we have a video, right, Rico?
Good afternoon. My name is Roma Kalataud Stocks, and I am happy here to be with you to talk to you about my work, A Symphony of Rivals. A Symphony of Rivals is the second book in a trilogy. The trilogy is a perspective of the 20th century, and there are three main themes to the story. One is music and the arts, as I believe that music is transcendental. Secondly is major events of the 20th century, and thirdly is the philosophical inclination of the trilogy. A Symphony of Rival is set in the years leading up to World War II, and it's the story of Alejandra Morrison, who dreams of being a symphonic conductor, and as she trains in Berlin, Germany, she has the opportunity to meet and train with some of the best conductors of the era. But there's also some upheaval going on, and she will have to make major decisions whether to stay in the United States or return to Europe during this time. Ludwig van Beethoven is part of the story, is intrinsic to the story, because as I did research, it was very important for me to highlight a German composer. And I realized that beyond his musical genius was his love of humanity. So his legacy contrasts, or you can say it serves as a moral compass against the ideologies, the opposing ideologies that are happening during this time in history. A Symphony of Rivals is available on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and any other bookstore. And you can also visit my website, romastocks.com, where you can find interviews, upcoming events, reviews, or contact me. Thank you very much.
In recognition of your passion and commitment to bring forth the contributions of all cultures through the arts and your pioneer efforts of bringing to Minnesota the diversity of Latin American music. Also for your award-winning novels set to music that provide a window to location across the world, and your service to various art organizations, and of course your love of your heritage and culture. Therefore, with the appreciation and respect of the Minnesota Latino community, this commendation is presented to Roma Calataud Stocks, presented at the 17th Annual La Familia Latino Heritage Celebration. Congratulations, Roma.
Thank you so much. Well, buenas noches. Good evening, everyone. I'm really delighted to be here. I want to thank especially Rick Aguilar and Aguilar Productions for organizing this wonderful La Familia Latino Heritage Celebration at this marvelous landmark center. I am truly honored to receive this award in the company of such inspirational leaders, and I'd like to thank all of you for being here. I would especially like to thank my wonderful husband, Tom, who has always been very supportive of my endeavors, and to my parents, especially my mother, for instilling the love of music and the arts at a very young age. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the arts, because this has been really very important in my life. And while music has been part of it nearly all my life, I would say that probably in the last 20 years, I have devoted my work to highlighting the contributions of many cultures, especially the Latin American culture. When I first moved to Minnesota back in 1993 from Mexico, I realized very early on that really there was very little knowledge about the artistic heritage, music, paintings, literature about Latinos. So from that point on, I went ahead and tried to organize exhibitions and concerts that would highlight not only local artists, but also wonderful historical composers such as Enrique Mora from Mexico and Manuel Ponce, and of course, Ginastera, Jobim from Brazil, Piazzolla from Argentina, Lecona from Cuba, and many other exceptional composers that have expanded over a century. I really wanted, it was important for me to highlight the diversity of Latin music because of course we love mariachis, but we also have wonderful waltzes and sambas and bossa nova, and really the contribution in this arena has been enormous. I always say that music is probably the heartbeat of the Latino culture. I also felt and wanted to encourage other Latinos and all peoples to be involved in the arts because art is the storehouse of society's collective memory. Our Latino heritage is embedded in the arts from our earliest histories, whether it's the architecture of the Mayans, the choral traditions of Latin American people in the 1600s, to the mural movements of Diego Rivera in the 1930s, and of course, furthermore, the magical realism and the stories of Borges, Garcia Marquez, Neruda, Allende. The world has learned of distant lands, peoples, traditions, bringing yet a fresh perspective to the literary world. Through the films of Guillermo del Toro and Alfonso Cuarón, we yet have another window to our traditions and cultures. Secondly, art, I feel, can instill values which are transformed into experiences. Art affects a positive way in our sense of self, our cultural identity, and provides the young and people across all ages with the ability to create and to have pride in their cultures. I have witnessed this a lot, especially with vocal lessons in the last 10 years, where they bring music from Mexico through schools in the Twin Cities and providing wonderful experiences not only to students, but to their families and to their teachers, as well as a positive image of Mexican culture. Third, I think that art has the capacity for this kind of unique communication, and that it allows people from different cultures to communicate through music, story, images, and to better understand each other. Really, art is the bridge that connects all cultures across the world. Also, art gives voice to the socially marginalized. A film or a novel can awaken emotions to those who encounter it, and thus inspire people to change, and at times even urge governments to change their policies. For the young, research has shown that music has positive effects on school children's grades in math and literacy, and this exposure can later encourage continuing education and participation in other artistic disciplines. Art, music can also be a bridge to higher education. Finally, art nurtures the human need for self-expression and fulfillment. Many organizations today, you can say that this is the buzzword that is going around in the United States, is that art accessibility and creativity and expression is not only a human need, but a human right. So how do we as Latinos can be more involved in the arts? Well, one wonderful thing is that the Twin Cities is the second state in the country. New York is the first, where the arts and artistic venues per capita are the largest. Minnesota is the only state in the United States where the state legislation passed the Clean Water, Land, and Legacy Amendment financing the arts. Latinos can get involved by attending wonderful museums like the Minneapolis Institute of Arts or the Minnesota Historical Society, the Minneapolis-St. Paul Society of Latino and International Films. Every year, the Latino Film Festival, which is actually coming up next month, brings films from Latin America, from Spain, really with unique independent films, but with unique subjects. We, of course, just last summer had the Minnesota Orchestra showcase the diversity of Latin music at Orchestra Hall, and through Música Juntos, and of course, we have other venues such as Ordway and the Guthrie and the Orpheum. And for education, we have McPhail Center for Music, where you can learn music from babyhood to adulthood. And finally, I would like to end by congratulating all of my fellow honorees. And I want to thank Danny Vargas, who, as you already know, is the chairman of Friends of the National Museum of the American Latino. And he is working very hard to bring to the national stage the richness of the Latino culture through a national museum in DC. And so Rick wanted me to just say one paragraph as to why I thought that it was so important to have a museum of Latinos, of Latino culture. And so I thought, well, as soon, but from what I heard today, perhaps we are already the largest minority in the United States. I feel we Latinos deserve a museum to commiserate with the remarkable output of artistic contributions of the last several centuries. A Latino museum in DC would also provide with the necessary recognition of our artistic contributions and influence of the American culture of the last century. I hope I have convinced you to join me in enjoying and celebrating the arts throughout your life. Muchísimas gracias, and thank you very much.
Is Kiko still here? Oh, Kiko. Well, we're going to honor Kiko, of course. Right? Roma, thank you very much. Kiko Rangel. Well, what can we say about him? We got a couple of slides here, though, right, Rico? 65 years of performing. Are you still in the union, Kiko, or you're still in the union? That's another amazing idea, that he's still in the union. Look at this, though. This was the version of the Osmond family in Minnesota, all right? Yeah, because everybody played instruments, and everybody wanted to date the Rangel sisters, and they're great looking. And what a beautiful family. But let me tell you, I didn't know Dad that well, Kiko. I told you. He hung around with my dad, Don Pedro, and those guys were dictators, out there. My dad was, I didn't have to worry about getting involved in crime. Nobody came around my house looking for me, okay? Because my dad was there. But they were honorable guys, hardworking guys. But your mother, oh my God, your mom is just a sweetheart, greatest gal. And how beautiful she was. But and there's Kiko over there, looking for something to do over there with his, so he picked a saxophone, right, Kiko? And how about another, right there's Kiko, look at that. At that Gato Barberi look, he's playing there. And then we've got a few others, Rico. Here's with the sisters, and what a beautiful era. And finally, Latino American Day, our print publication, was very happy to honor Kiko. And it is true, one of the Twin Cities' favorite musicians. We're going to watch a video interview we did with Kiko a few months ago.
Well, Kiko, you're being honored with the La Familia Latino Heritage Award, celebrating your 65th anniversary as a performing musician. I mean, that's amazing. Talk about us how you got your start playing saxophone over on the west side of St. Paul.
Well, first of all, there was always music in the house. My sisters playing piano and singing and accordion. So one day my sister Eugenia asked me if I liked to play an instrument. And I didn't really know.
How old were you then, Kiko?
Oh, I must have been about 16 maybe.
Okay,
like
that makes sense, yeah.
So I remember that they had a little session there, and Lalo Sanchez came in with a saxophone. So I was in the other room, and I peeked over, and I heard this honking. And so when my sister asked me that question, I said saxophone. So then we went down to a music store called Kestein's Music on 6th Street in St. Paul. I got 6 free lessons with rented silver tenor saxophone. And that's how I started out with that. And I took lessons for maybe 2 years with different instructors, a year each. One of them was name was Paul Zelenka, and another one was I can't even remember anymore. But
Yeah.
there was 2 people, and with them I studied sax, clarinet, and flute.
Well, there was a lot of music down on the west side, though.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember there was a lot of bands,
Yeah.
and not only playing Latino music, they were playing jazz and some rock, and you were part of that era.
Yeah, I always go back to a circle. There's a circle, and I'm in this circle. So first it's all the Hispanic, Mexican bands playing. So once in a while I would step out to adventure in something else, and then I'd come back. So that's how it started. I ventured into, believe it or not, Greek music, Hawaiian, jazz. I never really got into country, but I like it.
Yeah.
Or Dixie. So.
Well, that's pretty wild. Well, I'll tell you, Kiko, as you know, you gave me my start in singing.
Oh yeah.
You gave me my first gig over at the Medina Ballroom. I thought we were leaving the country. I thought I had to get a passport back in the day. Well, look at Kiko. One of the things that in your career, yes, you played for so many Latino events, our celebrations, our weddings, our baptisms. Sometimes the good and bad in life. Some of the times when when things weren't good in people's lives, you were always there. But more important is how you spread the culture. I mean, your career, you were playing to a lot of the general market community in Minnesota. They had never heard Latino music. How did that go over when you started performing for the Anglo community events?
Well, with the help of my sister, she played piano in the first group that we had, or she had. So she was already had taught me, music of the bolero, the rumba, the corridos, and all the Mexican music.
Yeah.
So we started out with the band, and the name of the band was Las Siete Notas, which means the 7 notes.
7 notes.
Yeah. And then as the years went on, I took over, and I called the group Kiko Rango. With Kiko, the correct spelling is K-I-K-O, but I changed it to K-I-C-O, and it's been like that ever since.
Yeah.
So
I see people still make a mistake with the K-I-K-O.
yeah, I know, they do. They do.
Yeah.
And it ventured with Mexican groups playing weddings, and then got into a little bit of the more like a jazz, and started playing with well-known musicians, which was very fortunate. Like, for instance, the Golden Strings, they were just beautiful group. It was all about maybe 8 violins, bass, accordion, drums, and he would get all these jobs, top.
Well, you always you always got the jobs, Kiko, but you always were on time.
Yeah.
And you always could read music, so you could read the charts, and so you were pretty much an in-demand musician. I remember you playing for some of the shows that came in, and you were getting some real good gigs. We were always proud of you, Kiko. We're looking forward to you receiving the Heritage Award and to this wonderful event, and your 65 years of playing have really led the way to people understanding the culture, and to you being able to take our wonderful Latino music and have it spread around the Twin Cities. Thank you, Kiko. We're looking forward to the award.
Thank you, Rich.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kiko Rangel. Kiko Rangel, yeah. In recognition of celebrating your 65th anniversary as saxophonist extraordinaire, who has performed the traditional style of Mexican music over the years for countless Latino events and ceremonies, and introduced Latino music to Minnesotans from all walks of life. Also for your unique musicianship that able to perform music of many styles, jazz, rock, and various ethnic music, and your commitment to your heritage and culture. Therefore, with the appreciation and respect of the Minnesota Latino community, this commendation is presented to Francisco Kiko Rangel. Give us the word, Kiko.
Well, thank you, Rich. And it's really nice to be here and get this award for my playing all these years. And I hope to continue, of course, because music was part of my life, and it's still going to be till I can't no more. And again, thank you, Rich. I've known Rich for a long time. We've played some gigs together, and I played different types of music, and it was all fun to do. And I don't have much to say, but because I'm a very quiet person. But Rich, thank you very much, and thank you out there.
Oh, now, hey, Kiko's going to play right now, so he's got his trio over here. Kiko's going to do a couple of songs right now. Want to get over that with Kiko? Okay. I told Kiko once he won the lottery, he says, yeah, good, man. You know, so very low key, but you know, that's good, right? Kiko's always been on time for all the gigs. That's what counts. He gets there, he's ready to play, and it's always been a treat playing with Kiko over the years. You know, he played with the late Rudy Garcia and the J. Mars, and right now he's going to play with his trio.
was a few instrumentals what you did. That was the first one was La Bikina, and we called the second tune Los Zapatitos. Now I want to bring up my sister to do a tune with us.
Solamente una vez, amé la vida, solamente una vez y nada más. Solamente una vez en mi huerto brilló la esperanza que alumbra el camino de mi soledad. Una vez nada más se entrega el alma con la dulce total renunciación. Y cuando ese milagro realiza el prodigio de amor de ti, hay campanas de fiesta que cantan en el corazón. Nada más se entrega el alma con la dulce total renunciación. Y cuando ese milagro realiza el prodigio de amor de ti, hay campanas de fiesta que cantan en el corazón. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring up the man, Richard, to do a tune. Surprise.
Mañana miré, amor mío, qué triste estaré. Te digo, mañana miré, amor mío, pero es de noche, lo paso contigo. Kiko.
Te voy a dar todo mi amor, te voy a dar mi corazón, te besaré sin compasión, tú me darás solo tu amor.
Mañana miré, amor mío, pero esta noche, lo paso contigo.
Thank you. On behalf of Cueto, or Roberto on guitarón, Aurelio Silva on guitar, and your amigo Kiko, thank you.
Hey, thanks, Kiko. You know, right now we usually say last but not least, but you know, we're gonna honor a Latina. Of course, Latinos are not last but not least. You know, they're the backbone of the Latino community. Come on, we gotta face it, man. I mean, they are the decision makers. You know, they keep that family together, and you know, even nowadays they're working. Maybe you own a business, and I think that if you look at Latinas and you hear these statistics, the fastest growing business segment in the country. How about a handful of Latinos, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, yes, we know that. And our next award recipient is just that role model. Just that role model. I think she met one of her brothers here, Bogota, Colombia, with our great president of, I hope he gets some free tickets, man. But God better deliver, baby, or we take that trophy back. That's on lay-by. I got that thing on lay-by. But Martha, you know what, you Colombians, you guys are making it happen, I tell you, because you know Martha's a successful businesswoman, went to Rutgers, I believe, and worked in corporate America, and is now a business owner, a great mother with the young kids, and a volunteer. You know, wanting to give back. You know, that's a lot on your plate, but somehow she makes it all manageable. And I think it's a great tribute to what she believes in, what she wants out of life. Let's take a couple of looks here of the group here. Grupo Danza de Colombianas in Minnesota. Right here, look how beautiful this is. This is one of the great groups here in the cities. We have a lot of them. I know Becky Frias is here. She's done some great work. And, you know, our ladies, I'm telling you, they do. Look at this beautiful. That was at, hold that slide, Rico. That was at one of the best shows I've ever seen, Nachitos show, last winter, I believe. That was a killer, man. I didn't go there thinking it was going to be that. I thought, you know, Chito's salsa and he does his cubano, but this thing was absolutely amazing. So at this time, I want to honor Martha Odonis Daniels, but I wanted to say one more thing. You know that, you know, as we look at this evening tonight, honoring all the people we have, you know, we have a remarkable community, don't we? I mean, it really is, and it's growing, and there's a lot of challenges ahead, as we heard tonight, education, and you know, our Latino police officers, my brother. How about a hand for Rudy Aguilar again? He's still awake over here, man. Damn, baby. This is my brother here. I just got a text from him. He said, we'll meet at the St. Paul Grill. I got you covered. You're buying that first round, though, brother. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. No, what was so? I mean, for me, you know, I've been very honored to give a lot of awards. We're fortunate to a lot of people in the room here. Man, I love doing that. I'm just so happy that I'm able to do that. So why don't we bring up with a big round of applause, Martha Adonis Daniels. Yeah. And I'm going to read you your award, Martha. In recognition of your outstanding service as director of Grupo de Danza Colombianas, Minnesota, and to your organization's mission to improve the image of Colombia and pass on the traditions and cultures to a younger generation while entertaining Minnesotans. Also for your commitment and love of your heritage, culture, and country. Therefore, with the appreciation and respect of the Minnesota Latino community, this commendation is presented to Martha Adonis Daniels, presented at the 17th Annual La Familia Heritage Award. Martha, congratulations.
Thank you. It is an honor for me tonight. I want to thank Rick Aguilar and Aguilar Productions for hosting this special night and celebrating great contributions made by local community, by amazing people being recognized here tonight. It is truly an honor to share the stage here with all these people. For those of you who do not know me, I am the director of Grupo de Danzas Colombianas, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting Colombian folkloric dance in Minnesota and throughout the upper Midwest. Dance has been a passion of mine since as long as I can remember, from my early years in Barranquilla, Colombia, to my formative years growing up in Bogota, Colombia, where, by the way, I was raised by nuns from Rochester, Minnesota. So I learned English with a Minnesotan accent, don't you know? Including the last 18 years here in Minnesota. I love dance. I love teaching dance, from toddlers to seniors. I love sharing and promoting Latino arts and culture. I love enhancing the image of Colombia. And I have had the great fortune to be able to combine all these loves the last 10 years directing Grupo de Danzas Colombianas. It was founded about 17 years ago, and it started like modern dancing and folklore, but it has grown up to be inclusive not only of adults but children. We start at 3 years old, and we have the preschoolers, we have elementary, teens, and the adults. So if any, we have no age limit. So if any of you like to dance, you can see me after the end and we can talk about it. Grupo de Danzas Colombianas is comprised of an incredible diverse group of people of many nationalities, and it is not exclusive to Colombians, but open to anyone who wants to learn about Colombian arts, culture, and dance. The goal of Grupo de Danzas Colombianas is to support and cultivate Colombian art and culture and improve the image of Colombia, not only in Minnesota, but all over the United States. As Grupo de Danzas Colombianas, dancers become Minnesotan Colombian ambassadors and passing on traditions and culture and creating awareness in the community of the enormous natural wealth, richness, and beauty that characterizes Colombia. One of the most fulfilling rewards of directing the group is being able to teach first-generation kids about their parents' origin and having them feel proud of our differences and encourage them to be stronger, I have the great joy of teaching all of the participants about Colombia and helping them pass that among others. That satisfaction also of seeing the dancers of all ages, all ethnicities flourish and gain self-esteem, not only in dance, but in life. That is very gratifying to me. So I want to thank you for giving me this honor, and on behalf of the group, it's not only to me, but all the group and all the members of the group. So tonight I have with me 4 of my dancers. They are from the adult group, Fuego Latino, we call, and they're going to be performing 3 dances. One of them is called Joropo, and Joropo is from the plains of Colombia, and it borders Venezuela, so it's a lot of footwork, and it mimics kind of the galloping of a horse. Now, also from there we'll go to the Andean region, and we'll dance also bambucos, 2 bambucos, one more from the colder part of the country because it's very mountainous, and other from the warmer part, which will be more más alegre, más fiestero. It's like a party time, right? So bambuco is the national dance of Colombia. So with you, I'll leave you with my lovely dancers. And thank you very much.
Acompaña, a ver. Mano arriba, puño de rabo.
Well, thank you. How about another hand? Grupo Danza. That looks like fun. Now, the Rangel's had a dance group. I remember back in the day. Was that wrong? Didn't we have some of the cousins? No, the younger group. I remember I had this boxing match. You were part of that, weren't you? No, it was fun. Anyway, listen. What a night, huh? God. Wow. Yeah, fun. Now, the remaining recipients, in fact, my brother Rue still wants to go to the grill and get that drink. So I'm hanging with him, man. You know, I think with that medal, he might get a free one over there. Maybe not over there, but Mancini's he would. But anyway, I got to throw that one in there. Hey, all the recipients, can we gather right here in front of this and get our photos? Whoever's left, I got a couple of plaques over here. I've got Kiko. Kiko, I got you. So can you come over, yeah, Kiko, and then if we can get Uncle Roo, he's got to get up to go anyway.